Ashrei Hoish, Ashrei Olach, Mahatzas Shoyim, Ubederach Shoyim, Chatoim Layomod, Ubemetzav Leitzav Layosov, Timi, Siras Adonoi Cheptzoi, Ubeseiroso Yege, Imam Lolaylo, Hoyoke Tzosilo Pagemoim, Asher you can be told your lay boil, the Cholas Yasi Yatzliach, or Chen of Soin, in Temerz is at the Chen of Ruach, a Kema Yakum of Soin in the spot, the Chatoim Hadas Tzadikim, Yedei Adinor Derech Tzadikim, the Derech Soin Toidei.
Oy, mi yadu ba'alacha, yishkoi b'ha'koshecha, olach tamim k'ofedek, amis b'vavoi, v'yodal alashon hoi, v'nasu ve'ehu lo, v'cherpa, v'nasa ha'koitoi, Gibze ve'im av nimos, tefnei adonai chadei, v'hora v'yomir, Katzboi, v'nosan b'neshech, v'shoichad amak v'yokov, v'yisei eila, v'yisei v'yokov. Bismillah David, Adonai Oy V'Echso, V'Deshi Abitzeini, Amen V'Yuchon Sha'aleini. Nafshi Yishoidei, and Cheni B'Magid Hegman Shemai, Ki Eila B'Gates Amo V'Sloim, O Tiato V'Modi. Shinticho Mishanticho Hei B'Nachmuri, Tarech L'Fon HaShulchan V'Tzoroi, Kadalosh Shemohoshi Koyse, Oyo, V'Chesed V'Funi Konei Chayoi, V'Shabdi V'Veis Adonai.
Today is the final day of Hanukkah, it's Zos Hanukkah, and because it is a Yom Tov, we are not able to engage in saying regular Hespedim, the normal eulogies that we would share about the Nifter, about the Baruch and the Moshe. However, we are able to share some Divrei Chizuk, words of encouragement, share some of the ideas that the Baruch lived his life with, and to try to take those ideas into our lives and to carry on his legacy. One of the individuals who was very influential in the life's journey of the Baruch and his Ashes Heil, his Baxman, is a Yid, Rabbi Aaron Perlau, who lives in Lakewood, New Jersey, and he wrote up today, this afternoon, some thoughts, and I'm going to share them with everyone here on his behalf. So what I'm reading are merely not my words, but Rabbi Perlau's words. The halacha dictates that we don't say hesped and we don't say eulogies on Hanukkah. But what one is allowed to do, and more so obligated to do, is to talk about the nace, the miracle of Hanukkah. Our obligation is one of Persumei Nisa, to announce publicly that there was a miracle in nace. It was l'mayla miderech hateva, it was beyond the natural way of things. Nefesh Chaim tells us that each and every one of us is a miniature Beis Hamikdash, and our neshama is the Kodesh HaKadosh, the Holy of Holies. Barry, Baruch, you grew up in an atmosphere of Timu Kol Hashmanim. No fault of your own, you grew up in an assimilated culture, having no idea about Torah and mitzvahs. But inside of you, there was a Pach Shemen, a jar of oil that had the chaysim, the seal of the Kohen Gadol. The Maral tells us that the significance of Kohen Gadol is that the Kohen Gadol, his exclusive domain was the Kodesh Kadosh and the Holy of Holies. The Kedusha of the Pach Shemen, of that jug of oil, has its origin in the Kodesh HaKadosh and the Holy of Holies. Barry, Baruch, you found on your own that Pach Shemen, that single jug of oil that was burning brightly in your neshama, and you lit it, and miraculously it burned. We follow the opinion of Beis Hillel that we need to be moisav v'hoilef. We add another light every night to the menorah. Barry, Baruch, you two added to your Pach Shemen, to your jug of oil, 3 beautiful lights. Becky, Simi, and Bracha. A family that is a walking Kiddush Shem Shemayim, sanctification of Hashem's name. A family that I and my family consider a zechus, a merit to call the Baxmans our friends. The Gemara in Pesachim brings the pasuk, the verse, "V'haya Hashem lemelech al kol haaretz, v'yomahu yiyeh Hashem echad u'shmo echad." On that day, Hashem will be king over the entire world, and Hashem will be one, and His name will be one. The Gemara wonders, is Hashem's name not one today? The Gemara answers that in this world, on a Besura Taiva, on good news, we make the bracha of Atoiva Meitiv, we thank Hashem who does good for us. On a Besura Ra, on bad news, we say, Dayin Emes, blessed is a true judge. With Lo'ilam Haba, in the next world, you will only say Atoiva Meitiv. Hashem is good and He does good. Tzlach, in his commentary, Sachim asks, why do our sages discuss the particular brachas we will make? Just say, in this world, of Taiv and Rav, good and evil, but in Olam Haba, we only have good. Why the focus on what type of blessing is made? The Tzlach explains that the entire Gemara is discussing only this world. And in truth, HaKadosh Baruch Hu never does Ra, never does evil. It's really Taiv, it's really good. But it's cloaked in a veil of Ra, of bad. In the next world, in Olam Haba, Hashem will pull back that veil, and we will then perceive that will look to us as Ra, as bad, with always Taiv and Meitiv, is always Hashem, who is good, doing good. Barry, Baruch, I had discussed the merit all those years to hear the call of your neshama. I now have the opportunity to talk to your neshama. Please be a Melitz Yosher for Becky, for Rivka, who stood by your side through your journey to Torah and mitzvahs. And in the last tekufa, this last journey, showed superhuman effort to make sure that you got the best possible care. For your 2 incredible daughters, Simi and Bracha, to ensure that the menorah called Baruch Baxman continues to burn brightly. Jewish people around the world this morning read a special Torah portion for the 8th day of Hanukkah. The 8th day of Hanukkah, the Torah portion we read begins by Yom Hashmini, on the 8th day, Nasi Levnei Menashe. For the tribe of Menashe. I was thinking today, what is Menashe? There must be something here. We all know how do we bless our children. It tells us the words we use: Simcha Likim Kafraim Menashe. And this question is asked: why is it? Why don't we say you should be like Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? Why don't you say Reuben, Shimon, Levi, so many others? Why specifically do we identify and say that we want to bless our children? You should be like Ephraim and Menashe. And there are many reasons, but there's one simple yet powerful reason, as that is that different than all the other Shvatim, and different than the others, Menashe and Ephraim grew up in Egypt, in Mitzrayim, in a place where they weren't in the shadow of the Avos of Yaakov, Ervas Haaretz, the lowest of the low. And nevertheless, they were able to transform and maintain, not just maintain their identity, but to transform and keep the Yiddish and Neshama burning bright, regardless of the situations they encountered on a regular basis. Many years ago, when we started Chabad of South Metro Denver, one of the first families we met was the wonderful Baxman family. And I don't know if Highlands Ranch is like Mitzrayim, but there are definitely similarities. And I'll never forget the first time we met and the many, many times that followed. There was someone looking for the truth, looking for what's true, looking for what's real, looking for Torah, true Yiddishkeit in a way that regardless of all the things around them, regardless of the sacrifices that they had to make, they wanted to give the best Yiddishkeit and Judaism to their children. I remember we learned that. I remember at that time, they had a beautiful house right across the street from one of the best public schools. And specifically bought that house because this was going to be the school that their children went to. And everything changed. And regardless of their challenges, it wasn't easy, but you were able to see that day in and day out, how we looked for that truth, looked for that light, looked for what's good, truly good for him and especially his children. There are so many stories from when we opened the very first storefront and how he encouraged us and pushed us to do it, starting minyanim. And then when the time came, at that point, we didn't have daily minyanim yet down in our part of town. And we encouraged them to move, to join the growing Denver community. Now, Baruch Hashem, there's so much going on, minyanim, daily minyanim, and so on, all from the very first sparks that the Baxman family planted and helped and directed and guided. And I want to just share one more thing about being a candle. As you mentioned earlier, you're someone who, when you notice someone who's missing something, quietly come over, go, please help this person. I would send people to him regularly who needed help and still they hate quietly. He would do unbelievable and amazing things. Every mitzvah, every opportunity where we put up the first mezuzah at JF Options and in the home and so on, the joy, the excitement, and learning, he wanted his children to be able to not just
stay, reach one level, from the highest level of education, and to be there, to look, and to make sure that the Yiddish neshama shines bright. You mentioned it was Zois Hanukkah, and it's asked, what happens now? What happens? They were lighting one candle, Moisef Ahilach, and then all of a sudden, tonight, so one of the answers is that we become the candles. I turn to this wonderful family and I say, continue to carry on this light, this legacy of goodness, of kindness, of Torah, of mitzvahs. And the Gemara says in the Megillah of Yudala that that even though after the story of Purim, we're still in Golus. And the Mepharshim say you can say that on Hanukkah as well. The Medrash brings it down that it applies to Hanukkah as well. Yes, there were miracles. Yes, we triumph, but nevertheless, we're still in Golus. So we ask that Baruch and Moshe should go up there and be not just a meditation, but say Admasai. But enough is enough. And we should all gather together in Yerushalayim and light the Menorah in the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi with the coming of Mashiach now.
I too stand here before you on behalf of a very, very close friend of the Baxman family, close friend of mine as well, Chaim Leib and Machla Bukowski of Los Angeles. Chaim Leib is the one who introduced me to Baruch many years ago, 20 years ago. We used to learn weekly. I used to come to the office. Chaim unfortunately could not make it here for the Levaya, and he sent some words of encouragement for all of us, how much we could learn from Baruch. I'm reading from Chaim's words, the following. I became acquainted with Reb Baruch 20 years ago. Reb Baruch's business was in jewelry. He would work closely with a diamond dealer, a family friend in New York, Baron Perlau, the one we heard about before. During his dealings with the Baron, Baruch would ask all types of questions about Yiddishkeit, in his interest to grow in his knowledge about Torah and mitzvahs. Reb Baron realized that Baruch was sincere, but being that he didn't live in Denver, he felt someone locally could be more helpful, and asked me, says Chaim, to see if I can provide answers to his questions. Reb Baruch had a fantastic sense of humor, always with a good word, and was fun and pleasant to be with. Every Friday, we would sit together and share different anecdotes. Eventually, that turned into Friday night Sudas, and then him joining us with his beautiful family for Shabbos. The Gemara tells us of the well-known story of Rabbi Akiva, who at the age of 40 married the daughter of Kaveh Savua, the wealthy philanthropist. At the time of the marriage, Rabbi Akiva was an Am Ha'aretz, an unlearned individual. The wealthy father-in-law was vehemently against this union of his daughter, and Rabbi Akiva made a vow to disinherit his daughter and her husband from any of his wealth. Eventually, with the encouragement of his wife Rachel, Rabbi Akiva went to study and became the legendary Rabbi Akiva, of whom all of Torah Sheba'al Peh is taught through his teachings. His father-in-law, Kaveh Savua, upon hearing that his son-in-law became the great Torah scholar, was able to annul his vow, as the vow was made on false premises. He never would have made the vow if he knew that Rabbi Akiva would become a Torah scholar. Tosfos is bothered by the fact that a vow cannot be annulled when new information comes to light. So how can he annul his vow based on something that developed later? At the time of the vow, Rabbi Akiva was still an Am Ha'aretz. Tosfos famously says that someone who is sincere and sets out to learn is already on the path of greatness. And it's not something new that first developed after his vow. Reb Baruch was a proof of this teaching of Tosfos. From the moment he took to dedicating his life to Torah, there was no stopping him, nor his dedicated wife Rivka, to continue to grow in the service of Hashem. Baruch's learning his davening, his avodas Hashem, and his commitment to embrace every nuance, every minhag, chumrah, with love and perseverance, spilled over to include his total involvement in all the Torah institutions, and he became an indispensable member of our beautiful community that he chose to be part of. His mesirus nefesh to what was right was something that was amazing. The sacrifice of moving out of his beautiful home in Highlands Ranch, as we just heard before, to settling in his humble home in the West Side Torah community didn't make it feel like a sacrifice. He understood that the move was an upgrade as he wished to live and give the gold standards of Torah and Chinuch and education to his beautiful family. As we stand on the day of Zos Hanukkah, a day that Sefarim HaKadoshim write, a day of Chasima Sadin, Akod Holech HaKarachisu, meaning that a person is judged by the final outcome. Rebaruch, you lived a life of focus. Focus on what's right and focus on your dear family. And what you accomplish shows the goals that you set for yourself. Just as Rabbi Akiva's journey in Yiddishkeit started late in his life, and as a nation, we are still reaping the benefits of what Rabbi Akiva accomplished in his later years. Rabbi Baruch, you, like Rabbi Akiva, did not look at your age and stage in holding back, saying it's too late to change. You, with your Eishes Chayil Rivka, took every step and embraced life and looked at what you accomplished. We all can internalize the life messages to even work on changing one small midah or one intention of a mitzvah. The benefits that we can gain can be life-changing for our families and most importantly for ourselves. May that stand as a schus for Reb Baruch. May Hashem help Reb Baruch should be a melitz yosher for his dedicated wife, Rivka, who is a true Eishes Chayil throughout the marriage, holding his hand, supporting him through every change, while forging her own path in incredible avodas Hashem. The respect and love staying by his bedside 24/7 during this illness, being so careful of Baruch's kavod while dealing with the doctors and the myriad of medical challenges that she constantly managed to keep Reb Baruch's hope intact. May Reb Baruch also be a melitz yosher for his beautiful daughters, Tzimi and Bracha, who told us constantly to keep us in the loop in where we always felt the emunah and kavod that they felt for their dear father. May Hashem give the family the strength and the chama they need at this challenging time in their family. Chaim writes, my wife and I are asking Mechila for not being able to visit and not giving the kavod akron that is due. May Reb Baruch be a melitz yosher for the entire Denver community, for all of those who knew him and all of Klal Yisrael. Yehi Zichroi Baruch. I also want to express my own feelings. Yesterday we had the schus to be there an hour before you left us to say so many psukim, so many verses, so many, we even sang together. Every word I felt was as if it was coming out of your own mouth. Words that you cherish so much in the belief of Hashem, in the eternal reality of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and His Torah. Yehi Zichroi Baruch.
Final letter, which I would like to share, comes from Reb Baruch's twin sister, Nor, who was unable to get a flight here on time for the Levaya, but she did send a letter which I'm going to read and share with everyone here. 73 years ago, we were roommates. We came into the world 42 minutes apart, the twins of Sylvia and Mo. We were welcomed by our sisters Marilyn and Toby. Life was not always easy for us, but we will never understand the full story. I have a few vivid stories that stand out as we were growing up. I remember going to sleep at night from your bedroom to mine. We used to play a game where you would say, Lenore, and I would say, what? You would reply, good night. Then I would turn around and say, Bar. You would reply, what? And I would say, good night. This went on for quite some time, and we had some good laughs over it. Another story that stands out is when we moved from Nye Avenue to Mapes Avenue and we didn't want to go to a new school. We would wait until mommy dropped us off and left to go to work. We would run home and play hooky. I'm sure there are plenty of other stories, but right now I'm in disbelief that you are no longer here and that I have no siblings left. I'm feeling guilty that I did not see you at the end. Although I really want to remember you as you were in July when we took a cross-country trip and visited you. That trip to your home was so heartwarming, where I got to learn about the Orthodox religion, got to celebrate a real Shabbat dinner, and got to make my own challah. The best part of the trip was getting to meet your beautiful daughters and spending time with Becky. I walked away from that trip feeling a sense of family that I haven't felt in a very long time. I was so excited to continue our newfound relationship and look forward to so much more in the future. I will never forget your kindness and always remembering to send us stuff during certain holidays and our wonderful time together when you visited us before COVID for Hanukkah. I will miss you, twin brother, until we meet again. I'm so sorry this has to happen to you. Becky, please know that I'm so grateful for you that you sat by my brother's side all these months. You definitely supported him, tried to ease his pain, gave him hope, and helped to ease his fears. I love you so much. I just add a few brief thoughts of my own. I became Rav of Zer Avram several months ago, and shortly afterwards, Reb Baruch had to go into the hospital, and over the last 2 months, I have witnessed an awe-inspiring manifestation of bitachon, emunah, through thick and thin, through everything that Reb Baruch and his wife, Mrs. Rivka Baxman, and his daughters, Simi and Bracha, have endured during these last 2 months. But every step of the way, as we say on Hanukkah, that the clash between the Greek culture and that of Torah, Klal Yisrael, is, do we look at the natural world around us and say, this is it, this is where it starts, and this is where it ends? Or do we understand there's something much greater, much more powerful, much deeper, that gives life, that directs, that guides our steps? And through all the myriad nurses, doctors, and everything, medicines, treatments, this and that, every step of the way, constantly on their lips was whatever Hashem wants. We are doing our ishtadlus, we are doing our part. And I bear witness that Mrs. Baxman did everything humanly possible and then some to put in that ishtadlus, to find that refuah shalema, to find that doctor who would be Hashem shliach. And many shluchim came. Hashem decided that it was time to take this special neshama of Reb Baruch back to him. On Zois Hanukkah, the menorah of 8 lights has to go up to Shemayim, and behold, that Or Hagon is up in Shemayim today. But let that emunah and bitachon, let that recognition of Hashem guiding our steps every step of the way, as we continue our journey, as you continue your journey through this world. And Reb Baruch now embarks on a journey into a much brighter world. Let us remember always that Hashem guides our steps. Let that inspire our lives. Zifrei Baruch. Baxman asked me to share the profound appreciation that she and her daughters have to the entire community for all the supports in every way possible during these last few months. We just express our gratitude to the entire community. Baruch, on behalf of myself, the Kadisha, the entire community, we ask Mechila, anything you may have done wrong during this final part of your journey to the next world. Because today again is the last day of Hanukkah, we don't say Tziduk Hadim, we will say Kapitel Tes Zayin Michtam David Shomreni El Tichatis Yidach Mark Ladonoi Adonoi Otso Begotzi Balalecho V'Gdoishim Asher Ba'or Teimo V'Adiri Kalchetzi V'Mirbu Atzavoisom Acher V'Horu Balasif Niskeyam Yidom V'Al-Esa Shemoisim Al-Tzifosoi Adonoi Minos Chelki V'Choysiyato Pointus Beiroli Chavolim Not Lulivan Imim Af Nachal Ashof V'Aloi Glory has Adonoi Asher Yotzoni Afleloi Tzisruni Chuyoisoi Visi Adonoi L'Nekti Samen Kimi Mini Bal Emoi Tlochem Samach Libi Vayogel Kevoidi Afnisori Yishmem Avetach V'Nisaz Navshi V'Shoyol L'Isitin Chasidcho V'Roishochas V'Yeni Oyrach Chaim Soivas Mochois Esponechoni Imois V'Mincho Netzah.
Skadel v'skadesh meiravo. Dolmodu osilachado solachayom misayo la'asoko yosem kaye yolmo. Ulamivnei kalto Yerushalayim l'shachlo lo'echolei v'gavei. Ulamekar pulchonon u'kom minaro v'la'asobo pulchono tishmar la'aslei. Ve'im lo ichkusho b'richu v'malkusei v'korev v'kayetmoni v'yomikoinu v'kayetchol beis Yisrael. V'agolo v'zman korim v'imru Ei shemei rabon mevorach, lam lomei omayo. Yisborach v'yishtabach v'yisboach v'yisroimah v'yisnasei. V'yisador v'yisalev v'yisalol shmei v'kodesho v'yiru. Leilo min kol v'choso v'shiroso tishvoroso v'nechamoso. Da'amiron v'olmo v'imru omei. Yesh lo morav omid shemayo v'chaim oleinu. La'al kol Yisrael v'imru omei.
Will be held at the Baxman Home, 1645 Xavier Street. Daily from the 10 opening hours, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. 4 p.m. Monday.
Monday, Wednesday, and Motzei Shabbos, 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m.